At the end of last month, Lido contributors published an Ethereum improvement proposal that aims to enhance the safety of delegated staking deposits at the network level and address a long-standing gap in Ethereum's deposit flow. So please welcome George, a chief protocol architect at Lido Labs, who will share the problem in detail, how the ecosystem deals with it now, and what the proposed solution is. George, the stage is yours.
Hi, everyone, and thanks, Kim. I want to talk about an old issue in Ethereum deposit flow that affects every delegated staking protocol, and about an EIP that fixes this problem. And let's start from the basics. So first, solo staking. One person does both jobs. They provide S and they run the validators. So there is no conflict, one person, both roles. And delegated staking. The same two jobs, but split between two parties. The delegator provides S and the node operator runs the validators. And the delegator wants to stay in control of their stake, of course, right? And that controls depend on one thing, the validator's withdrawal credentials. This is the address that owns the stake and validator's rewards. So this address must belong to the delegator. But there is a problem here. And to see it, let's look at the Ethereum's deposit flow. Every deposit has a public key. The chain checks if a validator with this key already exists. If no, a new validator is created. And the withdrawal credential come from this deposit and they can be changed. If yes, it's just a top-up to existing validator. And the withdrawal credentials are just ignored. So the first deposit sets the withdrawal credentials for the validator. And this is exactly what the attack exploits. The node operator generates the validator key. They sign deposit data with delegator's withdrawal address and send it to the delegator. Everything looks correct, but the operator still holds a private key. So they sign a second deposit, same public key, but with their own withdrawal address. And then the attacker just watches the mempool. And when the delegator's deposit appears, they front-run it, and their deposit lands first, creates the validator, and the withdrawal address is permanently set to theirs. So the delegator's deposit arrives next, but the validator already exists, so it's just a top-up. And the delegator's withdrawal credentials are just ignored. And this is how a malicious node operator can steal the delegator's funds. So how big is this problem? And at least 2/3 of all stake tests is in delegated staking. In principle, all of it's exposed to this attack. Liquid staking and restaking protocols have built their own on-chain defenses. Exchanges and staking pools mostly rely on reputation and legal agreements. And a large share is unidentified, so we don't know if they're affected or not, and do they have any defenses. So this is not a small problem. It affects most of the stake at S. So why no exploits yet? And the reason is simple. Every staking protocol treats this as a critical and builds its own defense, like all of them. And let's take a look at these defenses, like how they work and what they cost. There are two main patterns: bonds in different forms and guardian committees. First, bonds. The operator deposits a small amount first, usually 1S, and then the validator goes through the entry queue and appear on the beacon chain. Only then the protocol can verify and change the withdrawal credential for this validator and deposit the rest. This works, but it's not perfect, right? This is the cost. First time, the entry queue is about 47 days right now, and the pre-deposit goes through it, and then the main deposit goes through it again. So activation takes twice as long. Second, idle capital. During this wait, the main staking sits idle from 31 to 2047 S per validator, earning no yield. And third, the bond can get trapped. If the protocol decides not to fund the validator for any reason, the only way to recover pre-deposit is to deposit 31 S or more, activate the validator, and exit. Without those 31 Ether, the pre-deposit is just lost. The second strategy, guardian committees. A group of trusted signers takes a snapshot of the deposit contract state. They check that no one else has deposited with the same public key, and if it's clean, they sign the snapshot. Once a quorum reached, the deposit goes through. But it's also not perfect. First, off-chain trust. Building off-chain defenses like this is always hard. You have to plan for compromised infrastructure and software, or signers colluding, and layer the defenses like rate limits, delays, and emergency pauses. Second, state coupling. Tying signature to a specific state isn't great. While you're doing the checks, getting a quorum together and sending the transaction, anyone can deposit and invalidate your work. So you have to sign quickly and deal with griefing. Now let's zoom out. Every staking protocol solves this problem in their own code. Each one pays for development, audits, monitoring, and maintenance. And even after all of that, the solutions aren't perfect. On top of all that, new protocols start with zero protection. Before accepting deposits, they have to build the same defense others already have. So if you want to build a delegated, decentralized staking protocol, this is one of the first things you will have to solve. What if we fix this at the protocol level? The idea is pretty simple. First, the node operator signs a commitment to specific withdrawal credentials. Then the commitment can be published on chain. And finally, the delegator deposits safely with a Merkle proof of this commitment. And that's preregistration. And let's take a closer look. The first step, commitment. The operator signs a BLS commitment. It says this public key belongs to this withdrawal credentials. It's a new dedicated signature separate from the deposit data. The commitment is then submitted to a system contract. It's stored on the consensus layer and verifiable on chain. The second step, enforcement. The change is backward compatible and no breaking changes in the deposit flow, just a few extra checks. When a deposit arrives, the consensus layer first checks if the key pre-registered. If not, the deposit is processed exactly as today. If yes, it also checks that the withdrawal credential match the commitment. If they match, the deposits go through. If they don't, it's rejected. So for any protocol using pre-registration, the front-running attack is no longer possible. Pre-registration is fully opt-in For stakers who control their own keys, nothing changes. They just don't have this problem at all. For bond-based protocols, the path is easy. They replace the pre-deposit with a pre-registration call. They get a stronger guarantee, no capital locked, and no double key. For Guardian-based protocols, the deposit flow needs updating. In exchange, they can retire the wall of chain infrastructure. And this is a pretty rare solution. Only 2 protocols use this approach today, Lido DSM and Tranches protocol. Yeah, and so what does this mean for Ethereum? A very old critical vulnerability finally gets fixed. Most staking on Ethereum is delegated, and a big part of delegated staking is run by decentralized protocols. And pre-registration makes all of it safe by default and lowers the barrier for new protocols. For existing protocols, first of all, they become simpler. The wall defense layer we saw earlier can be removed. Less code, lower audit costs, and smaller attack surface. They become safer. The guarantee comes from the chain itself, not from each protocol or an infrastructure. And more efficient. The double queue, the stack bond problem, all gone. And the next steps. We are proposing this EIP as a non-headliner for Higata. To get it included, we need signal from the community. And the main ask, scan the QR code and join the discussion on Ethereum magicians. Support, concerns, objections, all of it helps. The other links on this slide are for further reading, the EIP itself, the research forum post, and the full problem analysis. And that's it. Thank you for listening.
Super. George, thank you so much. That was fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
In terms of kind of next steps, so Lido contributors would really welcome feedback on the proposal and the approach. So please share it on the Ethereum Magician forum to keep the discussion transparent and public. George, thank you so much again.
Thank you, Kim.